Hey guys. Sorry guys, you caught me in the middle of, trying to enjoy my baby here. It's been a long time coming. We got the big block truck outside. We haven't started on that, but we got to get back to this truck here. You know, the race is coming up in like, I don't know, a month and a half, and we did nothing to it. So it's time. Basically, step one, pull the motor out, right? We got to get that back out of the way. We have to notch the cross member. We talked about that. It hits the oil pan. Box, AC box. So our buddy Joe out to the junkyard did us a solid. He went ahead and pulled one off for us. We got ourselves, folks, under all this clutter, a non-AC heater box. Hard to believe they exist. Off a 99 four-wheel drive truck, he said. So, motor's out, heater box on, get the cross member fitted, and hopefully wrap this video with the motor sitting in its nice, nestled in home, with maybe even the driver's side manifold on, because that's what we want. And I've been talking with Rusty a little bit. We might do a little horse trading. Somebody might be fabbing us up a turbo log manifold for an LT, and we may get to put a clutch in a Ford Escort that we gave him to not have to work on. So we'll just see where it goes. But on that note, guys, let's get started. All right, so biggest thing is we're gonna go ahead and loosen up our motor mounts. And like we said, the intake was just sitting on for sakes. And then if you see, we did try to fit an LS power steering bracket on it. All right, guys, general consensus. So I want to show you what I'm looking at here. So as I come down to the frame area, you can see right now, with the motor mount height we have, it's clearing. But we want to come down, and go forward. So you see, where the tie rod ends are is kind of our central area where we got to notch this out and hopefully come down a couple inches. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the motor and tranny out, and then we're gonna chop that section out. We're not gonna box it in yet. We wanna get the motor and tranny happy first, and then we'll adjust that and pull it back out again. So yeah, it's gonna be like, hopefully not too many times of doing this, but we're gonna go ahead and pull it out now real fast, chop that out, reset her in, and then we're gonna have to probably shorten the little ears on our motor mounts, just because we don't like that. All right, she is out. So I do have the torque converter going in. We also have the rear main seal, and then the, oh, there's something else I forgot. Oh, flex plate, that would help, right? So we have that to put in as well. We may or may not show you that stuff. It's kind of boring, but let's get to cutting. So like we talked about, right here is kind of our center focal point. It's already dropped here. The plan is to take a Sawzall and just cut it and see what happens. All right, step one before we cut frame, get all our crap out of the way. So we got our little Christmas trees, the little happy trees. I don't know if they're gonna go back there or not. So we're just gonna rip them out of there. And then we also have to cut our brake line, or not cut, but excuse me, extract our brake line. So what I think I may do, guys, I'm not 100% sure. I've never really done this before, so we're just gonna, wing it. But, actually I can unplug this and swing this right out of the way. Oh, this is for the ABS. I don't think that's gonna work anymore anyway, so we can just go ahead and get rid of that. At least for now, we'll just unplug it. There we go. Get that out of the way so it's safe and sound. So, and okay, she just doesn't want to get out of the way. Now she'll get out of the way. All right, Sawzall time. Let's see what happens. Wish me luck. Let's cut up our southern bell of an S10 here, but it's gonna be great. All right, death wheel to the front. Let's open her up. Somehow. It's gonna go, it's gonna go. Now we get to see what the inside of a Tennessee frame looks like, folks. Someday. There it is. Look at that. You can see there's the bottom half under there. We might actually go a little further down to give us more clearance. Now that pan is stepped, so what you'll see is that hopefully the front step kind of catches here, and that gave us enough back there. But I'm not sure yet. So let's test fit it again. Let's second that. I see the back is lower. I'm just gonna take this down a little bit further, guys, to give us hopefully a little more real estate up here. I don't know if it's gonna be enough. We obviously wanna cut out the minimal, but we also don't wanna take the motor in and out 37 freaking times either. So, hoping we can do that, and then I get the trans mount on, and then hopefully we'll base the placement of the engine on how the transmission actually fits in the tunnel, of course, and then fits on the mount, because that's what's important right now. All right, guys, this goes back to the old, you know, cut once, measure 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I didn't give myself enough. And we're close. I think we're gonna go about an inch on either side to give us some wiggle room and try again. All right, made ourselves a little more clearance, guys. We are styling. We got a huge box cut out. So I tried fitting our LT manifold off the old Gen 6 Camaro. It don't fit. We gotta chop off the collector. I didn't want to, but a V-band would be way more convenient. So then we can clean up, you know, a little bit of space. So let me get to cutting that real fast, see if we can get it fitting, because we want to try to not modify yet another manifold or header or whatever, you know. Try to use what we got. Be resourceful. She was thick. That's a thick girl right there. That is OEM stainless. OEM. So the biggest thing is with utilizing this, guys, we're saving hopefully some fabrication time. That's what makes these damn projects take for freaking ever. It does fit now. Kind of, but it's in the hole.
That's what she said.
So you asked about the steering shaft. I don't know yet. And then obviously the motor's still kind of hanging, so I'm hoping a couple loose bolts, and then we can adjust around to make this work. And then obviously when we fabricate, we're just fabricating the one side. All right, we got her up in the air, so I wanted to kind of show you what I was looking at. So we did successfully bring it down quite a bit. I just got some old pallet wood kind of sitting in there. Obviously I'll get it boxed in. We're still running into some clearance issues with our manifold here, so obviously that requires fabrication. So we're gonna see what we can do to maybe move the motor around. But it's not looking too bad. We are gonna put the trans mount in so we can kind of position the damn transmission. But I mean, by all means, we got 5,700 feet of room around here. You could damn near stick a 40-ounce beer bottle in there. So, like I said, I'm gonna try to mount the transmission cross member, at least that way that's done. And then we can kind of start screwing around up front and the motor's not sliding back and forth and swinging around and whatnot. So at least that way, we can start working in the right direction. So let me get to working on that tranny mount real fast, and then maybe we'll see if we can shift the motor over side to side. It does give us a little bit of side to side room. Obviously we don't want to stick Rusty with too tight of a side, but obviously that whole turbo manifold's got to be custom built. So I'd rather save on his labor by all means than my labor. So man, I almost think, guys, I don't know if I should look into buying like an LS turbo manifold or an LS swap manifold like I put on the LTD and just chop the flanges off and switch over to, you know, these LT flanges, or get some from Motion or something. To be determined. All right, let's get this thing up in the air, guys, and then we're gonna see if we can position this. And it will slide back and forth a little bit because obviously it's just sitting on a pallet. So let's see what happens. Might clear up some exhaust room too, because realistically we need The trans about, I don't know, about there. And then if we can get to come back just a skosh, that would definitely free up our exhaust room. And we probably can come back, guys. We could probably come back. Holy crap, let me grab this real quick here. I mean, look how much room we do have between the back of the head and the firewall. So, I mean, you could really, it's probably a good solid 6 inches. Well, folks, transmission cross member is in. Got the trans mount up and tight. So I'll tell you, the hardest part is trying to center this damn thing because there's not really anything to measure. You got a different width frame here versus over here. Is my cut straight up there?
I said, well, you ain't that straight.
Up there, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna do our best to allow it to give us the most room. That makes the most sense to me. So it did give us a lot of manifold clearance. Now granted, we're still sitting on the old pallet wood, but I'm gonna try to fit them motor mounts in. We're probably gonna re-drill them like we did on the LTD to bring the motor down. But there is a lot of room. I think the starter will fit in there just fine. We'll see, but I think what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna lower it down, guys, and see about, or maybe we could try fishing them in right now and see what we got for motor mount clearance and whether we gotta cut the ears off and just drill them. But it's fitting good. I mean, it's low. I mean, realistically, look at the clearance around this damn thing. You know, there's still a ton of room. We did not change the heater box, but I feel like there's still enough room to put that one up there. So let's get the motor mounting. All right, so motor mounts. We switched them side to side, and it's kind of how we did on the LTD. The problem is she's just not coming down far enough, and I don't know what the hell's going on here. So the way the flags are designed is meant to kind of offset it in the tunnel anyways to clear the driver's side a little more. But biscuits and gravy, guys, the struggle bus continues. That's the struggle bus. Well, folks, after heavy modification, she's sitting on her own mounts. Now, you can see I did re-drill holes, and you can see that hole is vertical on the outer side there. Simply what I did, guys, is I took and I flipped them out side to side, and then I re-drilled new holes. Now, I had to do the same thing when I did the LTD. I don't know if it's because, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, because I've used these S10 swap mounts before, and I did a Blazer with a 5.3 four-wheel drive one, and they fit like shit too. But I think they're designed, like we talked about earlier, to actually either twist the motor or to offset it to one side for clearance. Now, there's a reason why they're different, but I don't know exactly why. So from the underneath standpoint, trans cross member in, bolted in, bolted in. So you can see we got plenty of clearance around, and we have some clearance for our manifold. Now it looks tight, I know, but there is some gap. There is, not a ton, but there's some. You can see my lining up is not the best. Now it is measured good there. It's just the fact that we did offset it a little bit. There is a reason. Gearbox clearance, we're trying to put power steering on it. The exhaust manifold. Other reasons why we tried for clearance on the driver's side. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. What's worse gonna happen? So we're going to box this stuff in. I do have to cut this down just a little bit more. I see that is a little offset. But yeah, let's get her on the ground, guys. So we are clearing. So our steering shaft, we're having issues with that. We were kind of wondering if that was gonna be a problem. Usually these things, like we talked about, they go around the steering shaft and whatnot. So I'm not really sure what we're gonna do here. We may still not run this, because at this point here, this pipe has to go away for sure. And we may have to make it go around. So I don't know. Well, guys, it's the next day. We did get the Camaro wrapped up if you saw Tuesday's video. So S10 back over here. Motor's obviously out. It's time to box this dude in. So we're gonna box that in here, and we're gonna get this fender off and get the heater box removed. So Rusty is coming up this weekend. He's taking the S10 home with him. So what that entails is he's building us a turbo manifold for us to put a clutch in the old infamous Escort diesel. And he did some pretty cool stuff to it, guys. So I can't wait for you to see it, but that'll be maybe next Tuesday's video. I don't know, we'll see. But let's get to the live action. I'm gonna start welding some stuff in there, and that fender has gotta come off. So let's roll. All right, folks, so we're trying to save as much as we can of this stuff. We might even use these relays for the fuel pump. I mean, how convenient would that be, right? It does run over to a CAN bus on that side. So we're trying to obviously keep the heat in this truck too, so, but we gotta get this heater box changed like we described. All right, so check your weather seal. Now ours stayed all on this particular housing, so we're gonna peel it off the truck. You might be able to buy new, I have no idea. For us, it doesn't matter. It'll be fine. And just like that, it's on. So, look how much room that saved us. I think we put a big block Chevy in here now. Maybe we should put the 8.1 in here, you know? But, I mean, guys, that was out to here. Son of a bitch, we saved ourselves a foot. So, now it's welding time. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple templates. And the easiest thing I found is just trace it, and we can always kind of form fit it with a flat disc. All right, so a little patience with the flap disc, and she's fitting freaking awesome. See guys, you ain't gotta be a professional welder to glue a piece of metal together. I mean, it turned out decent. It turned out decent. What do you think? So, gonna get the other side done, save you that boring stuff. You've seen kind of the idea of what we're doing here. And then I'm gonna chime back in, we're gluing the bottom one down. Not too shabby, guys, for an amateur, but got that buttoned up. We're gonna seam seal this up here. If you remember from the first video, we modified that firewall there for the extra clearance. So we're gonna go ahead and smear some black seam sealer so we don't have to worry about really painting it. And I think at that point, it's power wash time. Just remember, guys, it's just like frosting a cake. All right, guys, we got that all seam sealed up and dried for about an hour, ready to wash her up. So you see we got a bunch of crud from the power steering, and you know, it's not really in too bad a shape, of course, but a little bit of the old super clean will work wonders. I don't know if you guys ever used that stuff before, but definitely for the win. All right, guys, we're gonna run to dinner real quick. By the time we get back, hopefully this will be all dried up, ready for some paint. All right, we're back at it. Dinner was great. Gonna give her one coat, let her dry overnight, and hopefully by tomorrow, she's Rust-Oleum protected. So, it looks pretty decent. Let me show you. Overall, dried well. Look at the coverage. That ain't too bad. It was at 50% more output. Look at there. All right, next morning, we're attacking this unit. So, I know we just talked about all the paint crap, but that's what she looks like, all satined out. Looks good. So, I did cut up some wiring, got rid of the ABS and the airbag stuff. We're not gonna need that where we're going, so we're not worried about that stuff. Who needs safety, you know? It'll be fine. And then at this point, we did pull the clutch slave out of the way. Just a couple things that are unnecessary, easy stuff to remove, not really worth filming. But I am gonna go ahead and set the motor in there. I know you guys have seen that about 97 times by now, but this will be the 98th time and the last time. So I'm gonna get doing that real quick, and then hopefully we can start prepping some other stuff, like getting the front clip put back together. So let the fun begin. All right, moment of truth. All right, something I wanted to show you real quick. So this is an LT rear cover. See how the seal almost looks like it's installed backwards? versus an LS, there's an LS for a cover. Make sure you put your seal in the right way, guys, because I tell you what, they look the same, but they're different, all right? So let's go ahead and get this thing assembled. I'll show you how that seal goes in. It's pretty straightforward. We just got a Felpro rear main seal set. Of course, we didn't need the cover or any of that crap, cover gasket, I should say, but let me get you a part number. So a BS 40765, that is an LT rear main cover seal set. So let's get that bearing seal in there real quick. All right, wrong or right, what I like to do, a little WD-40, just something to kind of lube it up.
There's always time for lubricant.
And then you'll see this does come with, we'll call it an installation tool, but it's really not. It does help. And remember, they do make a tool for putting these in, but this is what we got, so we'll make it work. And you'll feel it kind of pop up on to the crankshaft, like it did. And just kind of go around the perimeter. They don't go in too bad. And yes, I'm using my first hammer from, you know, preschool, but. All right, before we put our flex plate on, I wanted to match it up to our torque converter. So this is our Circle D converter we had in the Mega Truck. By all means, guys, buy a good converter if you want to make some steam. Got a billet front cover. I mean, this thing's good to 1,000 plus HP. Freaking awesome product, by the way. But, and this does have the extended snout. I did verify, so I don't need the torque converter spacer because we did order this for an LS back in the Mega Truck. And LTs and LSs are kind of like twin sister cousins, you know? But we got a couple, yes, they're not SFI approved, but will it be fine? Sure, it'll be fine for now. We got SFI bell housing. See, it's okay. And if it's not, when we go to put a trans brake in the transmission, we'll upgrade. But I was looking at this, and I wanted to compare the bolt pattern. So, what you run into is that out of the 6 holes, only 3 line up. Now, in many instances, 3 is enough, right? I mean, factory trucks do that. You know, actually the LTs have 3 that they use. But I wanted to show you something. Now, you can lash me in the comments if you'd like. This is what I'm gonna do. Will it work 100%? Have I done it 100%? But let me show you what we got going on here. Give you a little closer perspective here. You center this up. All right, so we got our 3 holes in, they lined up. You see we're off just a little bit on these other holes here. Now these other holes are not used. Are there a different pattern? I don't know. But the 3 that are being utilized are the factory ones, and I'll show you. They have the tattletale, right? That was the original hole. So those line up. So what we're gonna do is take a burr tool, like a, you know, little air grinder with a carbide burring tool, and we're just gonna elongate these just enough to be able to utilize all 6. Why? Well, we got them. Might as well use it, right? What are we gaining? Well, more clamping force. What are we losing? A little bit of material. Is it gonna matter? Probably not. Or we'll be the first ones to find out together. So what you're gonna see me do is clean these guys up, and then we can get this puzzle together. So you see the concept. We just cleaned them up so we can put them all in there. It wasn't crazy. I mean, just a little bit. But at least that way we're utilizing it, right? And we didn't cut a harsh line, so it shouldn't crack. Shouldn't. But yeah, nope. So that way we can utilize all those. Now we can get put on, and then we'll probably just put the torque converter bolts once in the truck. Then it's above our head. You know, we're not laying on the ground doing it. So let's get the glue in this unit together. I've said it 97 times. You might as well say 98 times. So let's go. Now they're finally married back together. Torque converter in now, and flex plate, of course. I know you guys have dealt with these 400s, but these things are heavy. Heavy, heavy. You know what I'm saying? Big girl.
Dude's biggest lady I've ever seen.
Ah, that's a huge bitch.
But yeah, so they're all tight. We talked about before, with an LS or an LT, you're gonna miss this dude. With an LT, it's offset. An LS would normally have the top one, so we're still down to 5. More than enough, though. Well, guys, the motor is in the hole. So, something I wanted to show you. I've had this idea, right? Because LTs do not come with what? They don't come with power steering because they have electric, right? So, I wanted to show you something, but I wanted to play with it a little bit first.
That's what she said.
But I wanted to do that before I show you guys what we were trying to do. So, this, I know it's grimy and nasty, right? We know that, right? But, hear me out. So, I watched a video where a guy put LT heads on an LS, and it got me thinking. I'm like, well, if that's accurate, that means the depth of the cylinder head versus where it mounts on the engine block and all that stuff is got to line up with the pulleys, right? It's got to. I mean, if the head matches up when you change an LS head to an LT head, you can switch them around and stuff. Obviously, that mounting surface is the same as an LS, correct? Yeah. So, and 2 bolts lined up on that guy's truck. And then the lower one on the LS lined up as well. So he was able to utilize the same mounting holes except for 1. So, hear me out. Now, I don't have the little bracket on the back, but I did have an alternator accessory bracket before I, at one point, and verified this fitment too. So, tell me what you think. Now, this is a power steering bracket off an LS. Those 2 line up. And guess what? I got this one down here working. So, an LT, let me run over to a timing cover. An LT has a little flag off. I gotta find an LT timing cover. Where are we at? Oh, that's an LS. Right here. So, an LT timing cover. So here's an LS. See how narrow it is, right? Here's an LT. You see this big flag off the side right there? So that happens to land on the lower accessory bolt where the LS would normally bolt to the block, right? So, what we did, and I'll pull this bracket off in just a hot second to show you, but we were able to clearance a little bit in here, so we ground the back off so it fits over our timing cover, and we were able to utilize that flag on the timing cover and tap that to a 10-1-5. So, 2 mounting points here, and we have 1 down here. And you're saying, Brian, it's only 3, is that gonna be enough? Now, I don't have this piece to show you today, but at some point we're gonna go to the junkyard and I'll show you. But if you've ever dealt with an accessory bracket off a truck, back here is a little 90-degree part that bolts to a hole on the block, right there. And guess what lines up? That does too, guys. So, this is my idea of an inexpensive way to put power steering on this. You ask one more question. What about the water pump, right? So there's 2 options here. There's 2 options. If you get an L87 or an L84, which is a 19 plus and newer 2020 style, those have a center hub water pump, not the offset one. We went different as well. Because, let's keep it cheap, right? So I found these on eBay. A guy only had 1 set. Sorry, folks, there is no more. But Dirty Dingo does make them. So I think somebody cloned the Dirty Dingo ones. So let me show you these. So they are available. Just remember that Dirty Dingo does offer them. These are an LT to LS water pump. See how that rectangle is that way? Watch this. So an LS to LT water pump adapter, right? So that allows us to run a what? So now you get yourself a Corvette LS2 style water pump. What do you guys think of that? Now, I wish I had it all bolted together, but I need 130 millimeter long water pump bolts. Ain't nobody in town got them, so your boy's got to order them. So it's going to be a minute on that. But we got to hurry and get it down to Rusty. So we're trying to just kind of get a couple little progress update for you guys where we ship this bad boy out for some exhaust work. But tell me that is not going to work freaking perfect. And we got a tensioner over here. So basically we converted our accessory drive to an LS. So what's that gain us? Power steering, cheaper water pump, I mean, we're getting an LS2 style water pump. Again, that was a, I'll see if I can throw in the description of the video, but it's like a 8, 9, 10 Corvette, something like that. And you got to run the shallow one. It's got to be the super, super thin one because you're adding, 3 foot of spacer. Now you do have to find a home for your coolant temp sensor because the adapters, and this is stuff you guys will see when I get a little further on the progress update of this truck. Might be a little while, guys, so bear with me on the progress update. So our guy drilled and tapped this for your coolant sensor, right? Problem is, it's this side. So obviously that's not gonna work. So we are gonna do the same idea, but do it to this side. So this side's not drilled. So same result over here. That'll give us a spot for coolant temp. And we're in, guys. How freaking cool is that? That's gonna give us an inexpensive power steering bracket, and it's OEM stuff too. We're not dealing with, you know, you know how some of them steel brackets are with little tubes and garbage and stuff. So I wanted to drop that tidbit in here real quick because I did have somebody say, hey, please document how you're gonna do this. So when it's more refined, I'll have the belt routing and stuff. But I'm thinking we're either gonna put an idler pulley here in place of this bolt, or an idler pulley here in place of this bolt. So we'll see. Or lastly, ICT billet to the rescue like always. I used it on the LTD. If you go back to that video, it utilized these two holes and puts an idler right here. So we may have to go that route. But you say there's no bolt hole here, right? Well, be smart about it, guys. If you get into this, you could easily tap this to a 1/2 inch 13 bolt. You do half 13, and you could easily get away with drilling out the bracket and just bolting it to that, right? So just got to use this sometimes, guys. But hey, I'll have some more information on this stuff here as we work with the progress here. But it was something I've been trying to do, something I've been trying to think about and make work. So on that note, guys, I know we were wanting to have this front clip together for you. It's just not going to happen to get it down to Rusty. We got to have this thing for me to get the video out for tomorrow morning. It's not going to happen. So on this note, guys, I'm going to leave off with some good news. The motor mounts are tight. Trans mount's tight. Everything is positioned. You're starting to see the whole look of what we got going on. On that note, we appreciate you guys for tagging along. It's kind of a long, drawn-out video, but there's good information coming, I promise. So make sure you like, subscribe, share all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next one.